Hello, welcome back to Cooking with Spud and Stress. Wait, this is the EUS Challenger Series number 6. I'm doing the wrong show. We are in game 2 of a best of 3 between Benched and the Dongsquad. I'm Stress, joined by Spuddington, as I alluded to earlier. And after a pretty impressive game out of Benched, what do you think we're going to see in this picks and bans phase, Spuddington?
Well, I doubt we'll see the Jace and the Ezreal being let through at the same time. That obviously was very, very key in how it worked, but obviously that really strong, very solid performance out of YOLOzilla on Elise was a very difficult thing to deal with as well. But I feel like maybe YOLOzilla could have played a variety of champions and still performed very similarly. Honestly, I mean, he was up against a Malphite. He had that opportunity to counterpick. He picked up, could have picked up stuff like Rumble, could have picked up anything, honestly, that would do AP damage, maybe even a Vlad, I wish, but I haven't seen him in forever, so we are going to be going into the bans, and for the duration of bans, I am broken record, but I am going to be slightly behind, but Stress will be on time. So on my screen, I am seeing the bans, which are Zac, Elise, Jarvan the Fourth, and Shen, and there could be something else that's come out already.
Interestingly enough, we have had a Sejuani and a Thresh come through as well. That's interesting that Sejuani would be banned out. I mean, I know that Gornagle had a good game, was something like 2-0 and 6, but aside that, at least I've got to admit, and they have addressed this already, the Jace was a lot of the problem, and Zuchi's actually going to pick up the Jace to take it away. Of course, that's one of the advantages of first pick, is if there was something that was particularly troublesome for you in the last game, you can actually, rather than banning it out, pick it for yourself, so you've got it as a strength on your side. And it looks like Benched are going to answer potentially with that Ezreal once again.
Yeah, and obviously you don't want to fall for the same trap your opponents just fell for. You don't want to let the enemy get that really solid poke unless you have some kind of answer for it. I mean, maybe picking up some answering poke, something like a Nidalee mid, that could potentially work, but obviously Jace, very strong, and ideally, obviously you want to keep Ezreal out of his hands too, so it's going to be a good setup for them, I expect. Wouldn't be surprised to start seeing a little bit more of a diverse comp though. Neither side is really going to let the other get a huge poking advantage, and I feel like both sides are now just going to kind of build with these characters just as kind of generalists rather than looking to particularly orient them for that one particular role.
Yeah, and in the last game we saw that Benched, I was talking in Champion Select about how I felt that just the engage that was going to come out of Dongsquad was going to be a little bit overwhelming for Benched when they get to the mid game, but Benched did a great job of suppressing the Malphite. That Elise in the top lane, actually going 7-2 at one point in the game, did a great job of really just halting Malphite and his ability to get tanky. So when they got to that mid game phase, Malphite wasn't so much of a problem outside of just the disruption from his ult. And interestingly enough, we might see a Lee Sin pick. They haven't changed it over, so maybe somebody's trying to emulate some of those insect plays that we saw over at the LCS All-Stars.
Well, I know that Amazing is an incredibly good Lee Sin himself. I mean, he has the mechanics. I don't know if I can necessarily say he is as good as Insect necessarily. I wouldn't know. I haven't seen both of them play against each other. But both of those guys are really good on Lee Sin. Lee Sin is the character for getting incredibly good, incredibly skilled players to play him. Because kind of you aren't playing him with incredible skill, it's not worth playing him. And obviously, yeah, Amazing is probably going to be what picks that up. We are going to be seeing some extra picks coming out, and that Renekton top is just going to be a really solid general character. Obviously is going to synergize with that armor shred. Obviously his team thus far is looking very physical damage based, and I wouldn't be surprised if they have some issues with the enemies building too much armor, but obviously Renekton, inbuilt armor pen, can build a Black Cleaver fairly well. He can act as an armor shredder for your team.
Yeah, and of course, Lee Sin had a couple of nerfs a little while back. There was a time where Lee Sin was very strong, actually, as a jungler. Had quite a lot of strengths, but right now they've nerfed the range on Tempest. They did a couple of other little tweaks to his kit, and he finds himself in a position with itemization that's somewhat troubling. He doesn't have that great control in team fights outside of that kickback on one member. From there, Tempest has a shorter range, and his itemization really means you can either build for damage, which reduces the ability of your team to tank through a team fight, or you can build as a tank and not really do all that much outside of the CC your ultimate provides. So I'll be interested to see how Amazing plays it. As you said, he is a player that has played Lee Sin quite a lot, and that might be a placeholder, but we do see Lego My Ego. It is Nami. Okay, I was kind of expecting that. Master Yi is Nami, so that is a Nami support.
I'm not too surprised. The last time I saw Master Yi support, I think I was leveling up. So it's not something you generally would run. It's kind of very, very bad. But obviously, yeah, Nami makes a lot of sense. Gives them that AoE disengage. It gives them potential engage, but obviously Tidal Wave is better when your enemies are running into it, just because it's quite a slow-moving projectile. And if they're moving away from it, then you tend to hit a couple of issues with it, with like it being a surprisingly short like you have to fire it from a surprisingly short distance away because it's a little bit faster than other people, but it has to cover quite a lot of distance to catch them, and they can actually end up running out of the end of it if you're not lucky about it. But still, Nami, solid support all around. We have seen her a lot recently, actually. Does seem like the most recent buffs have kind of brought her into contention. She will work pretty well with this team comp. But anyway, because that was a placeholder pick, that Master Yi, we will be remaking the lobby when we can get the players back in. And obviously then they will repick with exactly the same kind of setup they had before. Obviously replacing the placeholder with Nami. I didn't see what the final pick was though, Stress. Can you remember?
It was a Soraka, but I remember YoloZilla said in the lobby then they didn't actually pick Soraka. So it looks like they hovered over Soraka and quit out of the lobby. So we didn't get the final pick at all. I thought we were going to have, in the bands where they make a name, I thought that we were actually maybe going to have some kind of like team spoilers because we had an MT. And, being around esports, my mind instantly defaulted to MTW, so not the case. We do have MTX, and YoloZilla is actually going to lock in a Malphite. That makes a lot of sense. Jungler of Nasus means you don't have a lot of AoE or, CC in an area, pretty much just that Wither, whereas Malphite, Unstoppable Force, is going to control team fights, and alongside Orianna, Malphite, Unstoppable Force with the Shockwave is an incredibly, incredibly powerful combination.
Yeah, it's the Unstoppable Shockwave. That's just, very, very, very solid composition. AoE engage, they've got that AoE Malphite ult, AoE Orianna ult, AoE Sona ult, AoE Ezreal ult. You've got Nasus running in with the AoE damage on his ultimate, and then you've got the Spiritfire AoE. It's just very, very, very solid AoE engagement. Obviously, they have a little kind of side of poke. They have some decent disengage if they need it, with that fairly large amount of movement speed differences between them. And obviously, they have good potential kiting with the blue build Ezreal. Solid all-arounder there. So we are going to be seeing up against that. Well, it kind of looks like it's going for at Bass. That's not helpful. I'm watching the stream and I can't see the champion picks now. But anyway, what was that even supposed to mean? You're the worst. Anyway, composition they're up against is much more. Well, actually, to be fair, they're both kind of similar in a lot of ways. Obviously, there's a little bit less of a focus on AoE though from Dongsquad, so we will be seeing how it goes for bench then.
Indeed. It looked like Bass has managed to thoroughly derail your train of thought. So I think we'll go to a quick break here, guys. We'll be back with game number 2 between Dongsquad and Benched very soon. But if you do have fan art for Cooking with Spud and Stress, which is a show that will be coming to a YouTube channel near you, hopefully, if I can get Spud to do it, send it in to us at Kaostv on Twitter. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes with game number 2 between Benched and Dongsquad.
And I know now we're getting older. The world we built is slipping through our fingers. We're running out of time. But you are the one I've chosen, and I won't lay still, living left behind, imprisoned by this love. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking down. I could feel your heartbeat. I could feel somewhere you're looking down. 'Cause it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna breathe. And it's you I'm loving, and it's you that I wanna need.
Hello ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the EUS Challenger Series number 6. We are getting underway with game 2 of this best of 3 between Benched and Dongsquad. We should be getting underway very shortly. In fact, we are already into game 4, about 35 seconds here. Nobody getting too aggressive. I am Spuddington and I'm going to be joined once again by Stress.
One of these games, Bass is not going to make me laugh right before we go live, so I'm thankful that Spuddington's doing the intro. We are into game number 2, as we said, Benched, taking down game number 1 against Dongsquad, and so Benched on a return to form here with a good setup between Jace and Ezreal in the last game, and Elise up in that top lane just doing so much work. Wards out already by both of the teams, only one so far from each though, and they've got pretty much good position on here for another defensive start by both teams.
Yeah, that's one of the things about invading. Unless you have like an overwhelmingly stronger level 1, it's not usually worth it to go for it because it's just very risky. You can always have a level 1 backfire, and even if you don't have it directly backfire, it doesn't necessarily buy you any advantage if the enemy are ready for it. But we are going to be seeing golems going to Suchian pose, and we aren't actually going to be seeing a lane swap up, so it's going to be a very difficult lane matchup because Nadia's last game, I know he did very well on the whole, but he actually didn't have a particularly good start in the super early game. He in fact was not doing brilliantly in fact, and he had the golem advantage, so Caitlyn and Nami will have that XP advantage this time. That is going to be helping them, although Nardius did actually just pick up Wolves, so they're going to be equal on that. But that's still different from the last game where they had the advantage.
I think when you look at things with regards to lane swaps, when you're picking Ezreal on the red side, you kind of have to be careful what their AD carry is. If it's a Varus or a Caitlyn on the blue side bot lane, they're going to be able to outpush you considerably if you're Ezreal. He's a great champion as an AD carry, but is a little bit slow when trying to push a lane through. So I think that's what Benched have identified here, is because Zuchi's on that Caitlyn, it would pretty much backfire unless they got something that went really well in their favor in that bot lane. And I think Benched just pretty much just playing it safe. Don't want, as you said, level 1s can backfire, so can lane swaps, and we've actually seen it happen a surprising amount of times.
Yeah, it's that awkward moment where both teams seem to want the lanes the way they are, and actually now Lego My Ego getting aggressive on Bimbo 8 in that mid lane. We have got that TPA skin, which is one I haven't seen before. I do like, it's alright, yeah, it's pretty good, but obviously it doesn't have anything quite as amazing as the Mundo sound effect on the TPA Mundo, but we are seeing this continued poking war going on in the mid, and actually Amazing, kind of hanging around in the area. Has actually counter jungle Gornagle by the looks of it, or possibly just gone in to go for a ward. Actually, may have been what he did. We have somebody saying Dinar top, which I don't know what that means, and obviously nothing too much happening. Gornagle is going to head to this bot lane though.
Yeah, that awkward moment where you shift enter instead of enter, and it tells it to everybody, or you're trying to bait them out. It's mind games in League of Legends. Actually, Dirtgen gets caught out by that Aqua Prison. Has to be very careful here. Gornagle is coming in through the side as well, though. Pose has taken a lot of damage. Force the flash, takes the 90 caliber net. Wither has been used. There's the Spirit Fire. Zuchi's actually dropped surprisingly low off that Spirit Fire as well. Yolozilla in the top lane is trying to defend his tower. Glucose has gone a little bit too deep. Ignite doesn't quite get him on that tick. So Yolozilla starting his lane off well again in game number 2.
Yeah, and I think actually Yolozilla may have gotten a level up there. No, he didn't actually. But obviously it was very, very, very close. Glucose was so close to getting that kill, but Yolozilla went for the aggressive flash, went back at Glucose, got the Q, got the E, just didn't go down quite quick enough and was able to put down the damage in return. So he's done well out of that. Amazing is hanging around the bot lane. He hasn't been spotted out. There is no ward in that tri-brush. He's obviously going to be aware of that. They can see the zone has only put down 2 wards, and they know where one of them was, I believe, because they will have seen some ward in the level 1 kind of time. Amazing isn't going to be able to go for it though. And this is actually a bad thing for Lee Sin. He's obviously that snowball early game jungler. If he can't get these early ganks off, he's just going to transition a bit poorly, and you know, we can't say it enough how Lee Sin just kind of becomes very lackluster late game.
Yeah, you were mentioning in Champion Select though that Amazing is pretty much renowned for his Lee Sin, so we'll see what plays he can come up with during this this game. Lee Sin's one of those champions that's just very impressive to watch, somebody who knows how to play the champion, because there's so much skill involved, so much trickery to get the champion to its full ability, and you see somebody like Insec and playing, and it's just so good to watch. And if you excuse the pun, it can sometimes look amazing. Dirtgen and Nardius are going on towards Pose now. They will get the kill. Nardius picks that one up for himself. Zuchi is trying to turn the damage back around. Nardius is actually out of mana, so can't quite follow up in the top lane. However, Yolozilla and Glucosa are still trading back and forth. Glucosa will go in towards this. Yolozilla is actually just going to back off from that, and Amazing is hanging around too. Ground Slam will go down from Yolozilla. There's a safeguard on towards Glucose. They're chasing on towards Tempest has landed, I believe. Yolozilla is just going to walk away from this one though. That Chain Vest is a little bit too strong right now.
Yeah, and obviously Malphite has that very high base armor. I mean, he's already at 107 armor, and this is what? Yeah, 6 minutes and 10 seconds. That's not a lot of time. Gornagle actually going to be stealing out the Wraiths here. Going to be taking that away from Amazing. Obviously, Amazing is on a jungler who is actually renowned for being pretty good at keeping control of himself. He is keeping control of his own jungle rather than keeping control of himself. That makes him sound like an alcoholic. But obviously he is going to be taking, you know, it's not a huge thing. It just means that Amazing is now going to have to cope with even less XP. It's going to force more onus on him to go for aggressive ganks. And just means that Gornagle has, you know, got one over on him. And that's going to be pleasing for him and the rest of his team. At the same time, though, it's not a huge deal. Amazing going to be taking Wolves. And then we will look to see where he goes next Wouldn't be surprised to see him go for a mid gank, but at the moment there are just wards absolutely everywhere, and it's making his life very, very difficult.
Yeah, both top laners now actually have a chain vest, so I can only assume that's going towards Sunfire Capes for the both of them, but it means that when these guys start wailing on each other like we can see now, they're going to take a lot of damage, and Glucoso actually takes a tower shot, a little bit surprising. Don't think he was quite expecting to move in towards tower range without the minions on that one, so YOLOzilla's shield applies itself, and of course that Malphite passive will give him that extra shield. And Gornagol's actually looking to see what he can get done across by the dragon area.
Yeah, he's actually... they did have kind of a butting heads moment. Amazing and Gornagol kind of both went to the same place. It does look like currently the ward control is definitely in the favor of Amazing, actually, for that kind of area. And actually Bimbo 8 now in a lot of trouble. He has been slowed. The Q actually whiffs though, so he's going to get out just fine here. That's not quite what you want. And yeah, that blue buff has now popped up, so I wouldn't be surprised to see Amazing go for that. Bimbo 8 is obviously low, and that's going to make it difficult for him to get, you know, in that kind of defensive position. And also Gornagol taking the red buff, so just look like it's going to be a free blue steal. Lego My Ego should be able to pick this up. There we go. They're going to walk on out, and the smite is still up for Amazing. Oh,
yeah,
well,
Amazing.
10 seconds.
10 seconds in it's back up. Amazing and Lego getting that blue buff. That's going to pretty much stall out Bimbo in that mid lane on Orianna. Amazing has to be careful he doesn't get caught out by Gornagol here. Use that Tempest, but there you see that Amazing's trying to get himself into this game. 0-0-0 is something that's a little bit strange for a Lee Sin, but every time he's been trying to find position, it's not quite been able to be there, and it's a little bit of a slow burner in this game actually. I mean, normally we'll see them about 4 or 5 kills maybe by this point into the game, but both of these teams obviously know how important winning this one is. It will put Bench through to the finals, and Dongsquad need this one to stay in the tournament.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who has the better mid game, because that is definitely what it seems like it's going to be. This game is determined most likely by, obviously, grouping for tower pushes, grouping for dragon pushes. These are things that are going to happen fairly soon. I wouldn't be surprised to see Jay start to put a little bit of pressure now on Bimbo 8, who's in a bit of trouble, has got no mana. Obviously that blue buff was stolen away. Gornagol going to be running away. But I do feel like the composition that Benched have is just going to be better. Nardius actually gets bubbled in that bottom lane. He's getting Piltover, getting the net. Not going to be going down from it. Obviously, not enough burst damage coming out of Caitlyn, much more of a sustained damage threat. And there are also pings coming out, so I wonder if they're feeling afraid that there are wards in the brush. They're aware of them, and they're actually against double teleport from Benched, so that could suddenly become a 4-man bot situation, and that's not something they want to have to deal with. They want to keep it frozen near their tower if they can, because obviously otherwise they risk death. Amazing is heading to top.
Yeah, and that's one of the probably worst things to have happen to you, is suddenly Malphite. Amazing will land the Sonic Wave and the Resonating Strike follow-up. Ground Slam is going to slow them for just a little bit, and it's enough to allow YOLOzilla to get back behind his tower. So again, Amazing lands on in that lane, but it doesn't quite end up working for him. He has the Madrid's Razors, but it doesn't look like he's quite been able to find his positioning in the game all that much, and that's one of the difficulties with Lee Sin, is if you don't get that ball rolling fairly early, can be difficult to bring it through the mid game. And YOLOzilla, even though he got that first blood in lane, has actually fallen behind on CS quite a lot, and that's because Renekton's such a lane bully, really just able to farm and not take a lot of damage, especially when you consider that he's most of the way towards that Sunfire Cape.
Yeah, and whoever gets that Sunfire Cape first, obviously if they get it at the same time, it's not going to be so important, but whoever gets that Sunfire Cape first is going to have a big advantage for a while. They're going to be able to out-duel whoever they have up against them that does not, because these, you can see these fights, you can see why Sunfire Cape would be so strong. They are both in close quarters for such a long period that the Sunfire Cape burn will tick a lot of times in any given fight between the two of them. And YOLOzilla is going to be backing out now. It looks like he may have to try and... no, he's actually going to stay in. He's obviously just keeping himself out of sight, because obviously if you back out of sight, your opponent won't necessarily know. We actually got Amazing in bottom. Tidal Wave comes across. Dirtgen gets bursted. Nani is now in trouble. He's been knocked into the wall. The teleport is coming in, though. And it looks like that's going to be enough to ward them off. I wouldn't be surprised to see the teleport cancelled. There we go. The Amazing actually jumps to the ward. Now going to be getting in close. Nadia's pops barrier. Ace in the hole pops that, though. He's going to be okay. But a little bit careful there.
Yeah, and if that Sonic Wave had landed, that would have been a dead Nardius for sure. But Amazing has got himself that assist now and is starting to build a little bit of momentum for himself. He's had a couple of unsuccessful ganks now. Does start to have one. There's the Aqua Prison. Will land the Sonic Wave pretty easily. Doesn't decide to go in for that resonating strike because Gornagal is standing right on top of him. So can't quite catch on for that. Again, another Q landed on towards Gornagal. Will go in this time. Land some damage. Safeguards back out. Spirit Fire is going to burn the wave down really quickly, and I can see two up in that top lane standing on top of each other, but again, both of them are so tanky that really there's not all that much going on up there aside from just farming and chipping each other's health down.
Yeah, it's just one of those things, and like you say, chipping him down, and that's the kind of fight where Sunfire Cape is very, very useful. Wouldn't be surprised to see whoever goes back to try and pick it up as fast as he can. YOLOZilla probably is going to sacrifice a bit of CS here, and I expect he's got just enough gold right now for that Sunfire Cape himself. There we go, Sunfire Cape pots towards heading in for top lane. Glucose will almost certainly mirror that. He will go back, going to be picking up much the same item, I suspect, probably boots as well. Maybe something else, but Gornagal is actually pushing in this top lane. Sorry, this dragon, completely separate from drop top lane. But that's actually a very nice timing call, because if something had gone down there, YOLOZilla could have teleported in, and Renekton would have still been going back, unable to get that super aggressive tower take.
Yeah, and surprisingly, Gornagal's actually a little bit behind on levels. He's only just level 6, I believe. Let's have a look at exactly how far he is. Yeah, about to hit level 7, probably going to get that off the blue buff. So when you consider that Amazing was level 8 already and is about halfway to level 9, it's a little surprising that Nasus, who is a jungler that really likes to rush to level 6, because that's when he gets the Dragon Control. Teleport is coming into that bot lane, though. Looks like here comes YOLOZilla. Aqua Prison is going to delay him from getting in, but it doesn't quite look like they need him, because Dirtgen is actually going to pick up that kill to save himself from Zuchi. So teleport wasted a little bit there out of benched, but as I was saying, Gornagal would have wanted to race to 6 so that they could get that Dragon Control, and it's a little surprising that he hasn't quite been able to get there as fast as you'd expect.
Yeah, right now we are actually seeing Lego My Ego looking a little bit aggressive in that mid lane, actually. Not going to be going for a Shockwave goes down, though. Malphite coming in from the side. He has gone in with the to the skies. Bimbo 8 now is too far away for the follow-up. YOLOZilla going to be throwing in the shard. He's going under the tower here. He has got that shard available in 1 second, but it's not enough. He's going to have to back out. Ignite goes down on him, though, so obviously Lego My Ego was kind of arguing with himself as to whether to go for the kill there. Gornagal now in trouble. Glucose under the tower. He's got the Ignite down. He's got the red buff down. He is going to get away with that. Wither, obviously not a huge concern for him. YOLOZilla is coming up, but there's no way that he can reasonably fight against Glucose, especially while that ult is still going on. But Glucose is already a stronger lane bully, and he is just going to keep pushing this in. Both of them have got their Sunfire Capes now, though, so they're just going to carry on as it stands. Actually, probably the tower will go down to YOLOZilla. To Glucose, sorry, fairly shortly. And Nardius in bottom now is in trouble. He gets ace in the hold, and I keep... This is fast. Suddenly, things are happening.
Suddenly things are happening indeed, and YOLOZilla is actually a little bit lucky to hold on to his tower there, because up in that top lane, Glucosa, who's caught out again by YOLOZilla, trying to get back to his turret, will end up doing so with the slice and dice. But we mentioned in the first game that when you teleport out of lane, you have to be very careful. Shard lands on towards Glucosa. YOLOZilla might look to go in on this. Nowhere near on his ultimate, but could be baiting. War Jump comes out by Amazing. Can they catch on? YOLOZilla actually picks up the kill. Will use that Dragon Rage back in towards the wall. Amazing surely must pick up this kill, but look how tanky YOLOZilla is. War Jump on top, dodges the Sonic Wave. Are you kidding me? Is YOLOZilla going to be able to get away? Surely will dodge the next Sonic Wave as well. Was trying to just play it out for as long as possible. Wasn't going to be able to get away, but I thought for a second they might have been able to get it. But good juking on those Sonic Waves there out of YOLOZilla.
Yeah, I mean, he was just leading him for a ride there. I mean, Bimbo 8 now actually playing very reactively at the moment in this mid lane, I will say. The CS difference between the two of them, though, shouldn't be too enormous. 170 on Bimbo 8, 188 on that Jace, so he is actually building up a bit of a gold advantage there. And now we've got Tidal Wave in bottom. They're trying to defend this tower here. Gen is having to back out a little bit. Spirit Fire goes down. Poke going down on Pose, and the Jace is coming in from the side. He is now looking to get aggressive, but just going to back out. Nothing too much going down here. Pose is going to be holding this with Lego My Ego, and I suspect Amazing will rotate to that mid lane. They will obviously have a little bit of a hard time holding this against 3, but if the poke goes down, then obviously that will make life easier for them. Lego My Ego continuing to be aggressive. This wave clear is crazy. He's one-shotting the melee creeps at this point, so it's going to be difficult for Bench to take the tower, but they are putting the damage down. Look at My Ego, just so good wave clear there. And will fall off a little bit later on, I think. You will reach a point where Shock Blast no longer clears melee creeps in one shot, but he's going to rotate back to mid, and it does look like Amazing is now in the area in this bottom lane. Gornagol fairly low on mana, but he is Nasus. He's very, very strong with that ultimate if he needs it. Does look like they're both just going to back out, though, and is both the junglers.
Yeah, up in that top lane, YOLOzilla actually has reached the point that without Glucosa using his ultimate, Glucosa actually can't take all that much of a trade now with him, and it's been able to allow him to hold on to that tower. Between the ground slam dealing so much damage to the minions, the shard on Glucosa, and then the follow-up auto attacks, he's just doing a considerable amount of damage, especially when you apply that extra damage from the Malphite. I believe it's his W. The brutal strikes indeed will land extra damage on towards his targets, and it's a little bit surprising to see Renekton start losing out in trades, but when he does have that Dominus, he is able to turn that all the way back around on YOLOzilla. But YOLOzilla has managed to keep that turret at that 150-ish health mark, and being able to hold on to that. So no towers yet, and we're 18, nearly 19 minutes. There's the Aqua Prison in the bottom lane. 2-shot barrage goes through. Ace in the hole is gonna land because both of them moved out of the way. Nearly managed to get that. The flash out of Pose.
Top lane, though.
Couldn't quite get it. Top lane, as you said, is Glucose now trading with YOLOzilla. No Dominus available. YOLOzilla actually gonna try and get it, but they lead him into the turret and can't quite finish that off with a shard.
Yeah, obviously that's kind of the very awkward situation that happens sometimes. You both try to get the other guy to tank it and then obviously jump on my staff. You don't actually end up saving anyone involved, and that's just not a good situation. Obviously, Ace in the hole did land. We now are going to be seeing this tower taking some damage. The boy is here now, though, so they might not be able to take this out. There we go. Tanking the last shot there. Crescendo goes down, though. So it doesn't look like it's going to be enough, though. Suchi just getting the net off in time. If that had landed, there probably would have been a shockwave follow-up, probably would have been the burst from Bimbo 8 follow-up. But now we have got our first tower, so we can expect to start seeing a little bit more roaming around now. We expect to start seeing guys in, rotating from lanes to dragons, rotating from lanes to go for many-man tower pushes, and I've got to say the double teleport comp could be the advantage there. Gornagol now putting the wither down on Amazing. He's going to be backing out, though. Does look like Jace is just going to continue to push in this mid lane. Lego My Ego doesn't want to get caught out here, and we've actually got the top tower going down. Luca is finally able to get his way with that, and that's actually going to be a relief for him because that's going to make YOLOzilla a little less able to just slowly grind him down when it comes to straight off trades. They are now going for Dragon though.
Yeah, overall Dongsquad do have that gold advantage right now. It's about 2,000, and Bench trying to come back into this by taking down this dragon. I'm wondering what they can actually do. We saw them steal a dragon in game number 1, but they will take the dragon for themselves. Dongsquad weren't quite able to move on to that one, and YOLOzilla trying to just land now damage down onto Glucose. He's going to go back in with that slice and dice. Here comes the tidal wave from Nami. Lego My Ego is going to pick up the first kill off that, but Gornagol is going to be able to put down more damage with that Spirit Fire. The Unstoppable Force was used by YOLOzilla, but he's forced back out of the fight because he's only got about 300 health. Zuchi takes an Essence Flux, but it's not quite enough. Ace in the hole is going to land on towards... it looked like that went on towards Bimbo, actually. Getting confused by these TPA skins. They're so close between Ezreal and Orianna when they're in a team fight. And Nadius and YOLOzilla are trying to hold on towards this Sonic Wave Resonating Strike, and the Tempest is going to be enough to pick Amazing up that kill. Nadius has to be careful as well, nearly getting aced in the team, but they will lose the mid tower. That means that Dongsquad will accelerate their lead just a little bit off the back of that fight.
Yeah, Amazing there, putting in some some buttock clenching dives there. That was tension right there. And that is just very, very difficult to stay alive when you're, you know, up against that. He was just not, I think, expecting Malphite to survive the double Q combo, though. Just Malphite being so tanky right now, though. 217 armor. This is just a ridiculous degree of reduction on the damage that he's taking from Lee Sin. And obviously Lee Sin starting to hit that point where his damage is going to fall off a little bit. Obviously nothing too dramatic at the moment, but it's just quite a big risk. But again, we are going to be seeing, you know, some aggression there. And I've got to say that dragon fight was quite poorly fought by Bench. They very much got split up. He very much got picked off one by one and then charged back in one by one, getting a lot of guys taken down kind of without putting out nearly their full potential in that fight. Still, they have the potential to win team fights, I feel, so long as they play it correctly in the future. That did cost them quite dearly, though. We are now seeing Gornagol going to be maybe trying to hold this top lane in. Obviously, you might have a bit of a trying time against Glucose, who is level 14, especially with Malphite definitely visible in that bot lane. They have got two guys to push it down.
Hopefully you can still hear me. There's a little bit of cutout on that one, but are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can indeed. Sorry about that. I was just hoping my internet wasn't messing up, though. We do have some action up in that top lane. Nadia's trying to come up and support Gornagol just a little bit because Renekton was pressuring on towards that tower. But this is actually a little bit of well, actually it's a much slower game to what we're normally used to. Here's the teleport coming out in that bottom lane. Tidal Wave will go down. Bimbo is trying to land the damage now on towards Pose. Looks like they've managed to force Zuchi out around by that blue buff. Shockwave is going to go down. Ground Slam comes out. That's going to be the kill for Bimbo on to Pose. But they can't really chase it up because Glucose, Amazing, and Zuchi are still around in that mid lane, cutting off the rest of Benched, and now they might even turn towards this mid turret. They know that 2 is still in that bottom lane, so can they find the positioning for a 4v3 fight here? Teleport still available for YOLOzilla, not on Bimbo, of course, because he did just use it. We'll see exactly what comes of this in this mid lane.
Yeah, they are going to be continuing that split push. YOLOzilla is down there. He should take this tower, because honestly, right now, Dongsquad just can't push that inner tower. They can't go for that. That's just not an option for them. They don't have the ability to dive, and obviously that makes life very awkward for them because YOLOzilla will continue to out-duel anyone in a very long-term fight. Lego My Ego now coming in the bottom lane. He's not going to be able to take out YOLOzilla though. Not in your life. And now we have Gornagol in this mid lane, pushing down quite hard on that. Obviously the rest of the team is there too, so YOLOzilla backing off, going to be heading back. I think he will go top lane and look to push out that outer tower now, and obviously he's just going to continue doing the split push because he knows there's very little answer to him on this team. There's just he can just afford to build pure armor. He's up against a comp which is pure physical damage, so he can, you know, expect to see him finish this game with 300 armor or more. He is gonna be incredibly tough to kill. 270 armor at this point. He is going to be incredibly hard to kill, and that also makes him an incredibly strong duelist up against someone like Glucose. Pure physical damage, armor shred, yes, but he's going to have a heck of a time building tanky enough to be useful in team fights and strong enough in a duel to fight off million armor YOLOzilla.
Yeah, some important items have been finished and are near to be finished. Jace has finished that. Muramana has just picked up the Manamune because he'd fully stacked his tier, which is something that I'm expecting to see out of Ezreal fairly soon because he has fully stacked his tier, does have the Sheen as well. So when he decides to recall with the gold, he will, I expect, will pick up that Muramana, and the Shockwave actually came out from Bimbo there by the blue buff. Didn't manage to pick up, I believe it was Amazing he was trading with there. So a little bit of a wasted cooldown. It will come off cooldown fairly quickly, but if Dongsquad can pressure this for a team fight when that ultimate's not available, that is a key part of the combination between the unstoppable Shockwave.
Yeah, but I do feel like the longer the game goes on, the more of an advantage Benched is going to have just by virtue of having more armor built. because they're going to have more armor built. That armor is going to be efficient against their opponents. There's no two ways about that. Obviously, more armor shred and more armor pen will come out opposing them. Lego My Ego has got that last whisper finished already. It looks like he's going for the cleaver next. He's still going to have to deal with a lot of effective armor, and the health that will come out as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if Benched just play this passive for now. They did lose that fight before, and that wasn't good for them, but they know that they're not so far behind they can be dived. They know YOLOzilla is still an incredibly strong, albeit slow, split pusher, and it does actually look like there could be a fight here in this dragon area. Amazing is in a bit of a pickle here. He's in the tidal wave. Tidal wave goes down. Actually, there we go. Pose in a lot of trouble here. He's taking a lot of damage. Nadius throws the ultimate. It's not enough. No, Durgen now in a lot of trouble. Oracles goes down from that. YOLOzilla has teleported. Crescendo. Shockwave going down. Not Crescendo. Unstoppable force. He's going to be going for Lego My Ego. Lego My Ego goes down. Glucose now in trouble. He's in the middle. Can he get out of this? Bubble goes down. Flash across by Nadius. Almost preemptively goes for Pose. He's taking that out. We have got the seismic shard going in on Glucose. He's chasing that down. Amazing now in the back. He's not going to be taking out Glucose in a hurry, but obviously 300 armor. Diving towers is not even an issue. And now Amazing has been slowed. YOLOzilla is going to continue tanking out the tower because he just does not even begin to care even a tiny bit about it. Benched pick up that ace, and that is going to be a very dominant team fight for them.
And I'd be interested to see when exactly that shockwave came off cooldown. I didn't quite catch it at the beginning of the fight, but as we mentioned, had been used a little bit earlier. And YOLOzilla for most of that fight was actually pushing down the top tower. It's still, as you said, Malphite's not the fastest split pusher in the game, but did get a little bit of work done on that. I didn't actually catch who took the dragon. Let's have a look. It was Amazing that took the dragon, so overall that probably works out about even, but for Benched, they'll take that for sure because it now resets them, and it actually isn't even when I look at the gold at all. That fight went heavily in favor of Benched. What am I talking about?
Yeah, but speaking of Benched, actually, Durgen there just getting caught out by Lego My Ego. Free kill there, and another Oracle's going down, so that's actually that's going to be cutting seriously into Durgen's total budget right now. I mean, in total, his gold this game has been 5,400. He's wasted 800 of it. That's going to be a significant proportion. That's going to be more than, what, 10%? Or maybe 15%. We've got the bubble going down on Bimbo. He's in a bit of trouble there. I'm not going to do maths on stream. That always ends poorly. Gornagle continuing to farm out that mid-lane wave. We've got the tidal wave coming in. Glucose now actually not able to follow that up, though. So the rest of the team are going to have to back out. They do not want to fight if they haven't got that critical key ultimate, haven't got that tidal wave available, and they just can't scratch the front line that is YOLOzilla. Gornagle, obviously, to a lesser extent, is very, very tanky, but YOLOzilla, he will not die.
Yeah, and of course that earlier I was talking about the Ezreal build. He has opted for that Iceborne Gauntlet earlier, so has finished that for that extra utility, still holding off on finishing the Muramana. So, you know, getting that utility rather than the extra damage from the, converting the mana into that extra attack damage. That utility is probably what I prefer when you're building Ezreal. This is actually one of my, the ways I prefer to build this blue Ezreal build. Is actually not quite blue. That Bloodthirster pretty much gives you a lot of sustain in the lane and allows you to take a lot of control in the lane as well. Then you build for that utility with the Iceborne Gauntlet. So, you know, Nadius building blue Ezreal the way I like to build blue Ezreal. So means he's going to be able to control these mid-game fights. Caitlyn, however, down in the bottom lane is pushing through, and I'm wondering whether Benched might decide to use that as a time to go towards the mid tower at all for Dongsquad, because they do have those teleport. The teleport is available on Bimbo.
Yeah, but YOLOzilla is continuing to pressure in top lane, and Glucose can no longer fight him. It's very much apparent in these fights. Glucose can do all he wants, but he's little more than scratching YOLOzilla at a time. And YOLOzilla isn't chunking exactly Glucose, but he's grinding him. He will win in a fight in between those two. And he's now got the mana sustain. He's got that flask still, which he's had since the beginning, but he's now got the mana from the Frozen Heart to keep himself in the lane for such a long time that he can force out the mana-less Glucose by just continuing to throw Q, continuing to throw E, hitting him with that W actived, and that's just grinding him out, grinding him down, fighting him slowly, and if someone ganks him, they cannot kill him. He's got Unstoppable Force if necessary, but I doubt he'd need it. He could just walk out because he's got 326 armor without his W active, which in turn increases his armor by 40%. If he uses that, that's just crazy amounts of armor. In fact, you will be seeing continuing to push in this top lane. He just doesn't even care. He's got no wards. He just does not care if he gets ganked because he knows he will not die.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see whether he does activate that, see what his armor does peak up towards. But you can see, even with that tower attacking him, he just takes no damage and backs away. So that really is one just tanky Malphite right now. You can see he has that Frozen Heart alongside the Sunfire Cape. That Seeker's Arm Guard's also going to mean that the added AP from that's going to mean that his Unstoppable Force is going to do more damage when he uses it for that engage. Pretty close game overall now, though, that we've had that reset after that dragon fight, and you can see once again, I don't really find myself saying this very often, but split push Orianna down in that bottom lane out of Bimbo is going to do, you know, a fair amount of damage to that tower, actually, because when you remember that Orianna's passive is going to apply added ability power to her auto attacks, and then additional magic damage if you attack the same target, she's actually going to be able to push fairly quickly, and something I've not really considered before. Dirtjan gets caught out by the Aqua Prison. There goes Amazing, though, with the Sonic Wave resonating strike. YOLOZilla is still there in the middle of the fight, tanking a lot of damage. There's the Unstoppable Force. It looked like he actually used it back out of the fight as well. And Bench have been caught out a little bit. Shockwave will land on, but Bench is not the fight that they wanted. Bimbo is trying to slow them down as much with that dissonance as possible. Shockwave is going to go through Command Protect, but Zuchi has so much damage. Killing spree for Bimbo will get shut down by Caitlyn. 4 members still alive from Dongsquad, and that is the ace. They will now turn their attention to the Baron.
Yeah, we are starting to hit the point where no matter how tanky you are, you're gonna melt Tsuchi. He is doing tons of damage, whereas what he's up against is a blue Ezreal, who is not going to be doing quite as much at this stage of the game. In fact, Tsuchi is now obviously getting that Baron Puff, going to be even harder to kill. So yeah, Malphite, he is very tanky. That's actually that suits him down to the ground, and he is capable of dueling anyone. But in that team fight, you actually saw the Dirtjan getting a little bit antsy. He tried to catch out Tsuchi and was not able to do so, and obviously ended up getting bubbled, ended up getting blown up, because Dirtjan cannot afford, thanks to those oracles, to build anything tanky or even really any utility items outside that Sightstone. So yeah, Dirtjan in a lot of trouble, and obviously he gets bursted out easily. He didn't get that crescendo in. That's a huge CC, and obviously it barely cost them anything to kill him because he's so squishy. So if he is getting caught out in these fights, that's going to cause him a huge problem. And obviously they didn't get that CC AoE wombo combo getting down correctly for Benched in that last fight. Not gonna say that's the end for them, though. Obviously they do now have a significant disadvantage, but they still have the advantage that YOLOZilla is a very strong pusher. He has now got that teleport back up, so he can continue to do that, and you will probably expect to see the pressure coming in on that mid lane. Actually, I would expect they don't want him to continue doing that, and in fact Fuchi might be able to duel him now. That's a good point. But that's a good point, me. Thank you, me. But yeah, they are certainly still going to be very much in contention, and now Tsuchi going to be heading into this bot lane, but it does mean the rest of his team will not want to fight.
It's pretty difficult, though, when you're Dongsquad to try and get the advantage on the map. Because of the 2 with teleport, it means that they can pretty much alternate who's split pushing. Wow, I forgot how to English there for a second. But during that fight, you saw Dirtjan actually get caught in an Aqua Prison, and that 1.5 second stun where you get lifted into the air meant that Dirtjan couldn't use the crescendo, which is another key part of this team composition, and it was just an awkward position really for Bench to be fighting in. They pretty much need to make sure that all of the members of Dongsquad are on top of each other when they do decide to go in for the team fight. And just led to their downfall. And an item we don't see all that much these days in the Guardian Angel has been bought by Lego My Ego. So when they manage to reset the fight at the end of it, they're still going to have a Jace to deal with. And that's a Jace with 375 CS in 4, 1, and 6. Bench might be looking for the fight here. This is a little better, closer to where they'd be wanting to fight if they can get a position where Dongsquad are stacked, but they're still having to play a little bit defensive. They are now 4,500 gold behind, and they look to defend their top tower. Aqua Prison will land on towards Gornagle though. Command Protect and the wave clear out of Benched is enough to signal the end of that fight.
Yeah, and they want that engage then because Nardius went back. He's picked up that last Whisper now, so that's probably going to be his damage now spiking fairly higher, but he's still not going to compare to Tsuchi in a sustained fight. He still has more poke, he still has it at longer range, but they need to make something happen with this AoE wombo combo, and that's going to be difficult with Gornagle on half health. Getting poked down, pop the locket there. It's going to be a cooldown he won't have available for the fight. It's right now, it's just the constant shock blasts out of Lego My Ego that are really winning this for them. Nardius isn't putting down near the amount of poke, and actually, there we go. Another shock blast, more wave clear, pushing them off the tower. The Baron buff is going to run out fairly shortly though, so they may want to go for that fight once that is done. Obviously, that's going to be the time where we'll find out who's going to win overall, I feel, because right now Benched are just playing it passive. Their comp wants them to play aggressive, but right now they have to play defensive. But they might no longer have the option of winning this game if they cannot take out Tsuchi in these fights. We are now seeing YOLOzilla heading towards. He has been bubbled. They are going to be going towards this. Gornagle has been hit with the Q. Hit with the Q from Jace as well. He's going to be backing out though. They aren't going to go for this until the conditions are just right, I feel.
Yeah, and YOLOzilla with all of this armor has pretty much been tanking Renekton and Jace at the beginning of these little skirmishes for a fair amount of time, and it didn't even matter that he got caught in the Aqua Prison right there. He just shrugged off the damage because it's just not doing all that much. Shadow's going to land on towards Amazing. You saw that YOLOzilla was actually thinking about going for it, but decided against it in the end of all things, and just both of these teams are playing pretty carefully right now, and I don't say I can blame them because, as we mentioned earlier, this game's a pretty important one for them. Dongsquad need to pick this one up if they want to stay in the tournament, and Benched, if they take down Dongsquad in this game number 2 here, they will advance to the finals to face, I believe it was Heimerdinger's Colossi earlier that won the game.
Yeah, I do think it was, so are they going to be able to do it? That is the question right now. Both teams are definitely afraid of each other. Both of these teams have the potential to win these fights outright, and it could happen very, very suddenly. And all it would take would be Tsuchi to be in the wrong place at the wrong time, or for that same to happen the other way around. Yeah, we have YOLOzilla in this mid lane. Actually, the bubble goes down, misses Gornagle. They're just going to be continuing to play this very, very defensively, very, very passively, and they've got to be careful that the poke from Lego My Ego doesn't build up too much for them. See, that is a very real risk though. Nadia's getting damaged. Durjin does still have that little bit of sustain though, so can they get the vision they need to get somewhere with this? Actually going to be taking the bubble, going to be taking the poke. Durjin going low. Again, he is very squishy. He's actually picked up a Giant's Bow, which is an interesting choice. Now, we've got Gornagle getting aggressive. Amazing was looking for the kickback there. We've got the tidal wave in. Bimbo 8 in trouble here. Glucose is in the middle. Nardius is in the back line. Actually going to be trying to kite this out. He's popped barrier, but not necessarily so. Amazing now in the middle. We've got the shockwave coming down. We've got the unstoppable force. We've got Gornagle going in. We've got Nardius now getting bubbled, but he's actually still managed to jump. He's going to get kicked back, but not. Bimbo 8 gets kicked back instead. Triple kill for Lego My Ego. Nardius now in a heck of a lot of trouble. Gets hit by the ace in the hole. Gornagle going to be going out. He's got to run now. He's popped Ghost though. You can't put the movement speed between them. Quadra kill on Jace, and I think that's GG right there.
It may indeed be, although Durjin is up fairly soon. I think this will be an inhibitor for sure, but really just the placement on the towers already meant that they can't quite push in, maybe. I don't know whether they'll have enough minions for this. Amazing actually gets executed, throwing his life to the tower to try and push as fast as possible. I don't know, Jace is a good tower pusher, as is Zuchi, but with YOLOzilla up in 9, I think Benched might have themselves somewhat of a godsend by the fact that earlier on in this game, that mid-inner tower was still left up. So, yes, it was a poor team fight for Benched, but given one more chance in this game too.
Yeah, but it's getting very, very difficult for them now. What we're noticing now is that their burst is just not enough to win out, and YOLOzilla is no longer really able to play that split pusher. They are having serious troubles. if they can catch someone out, if they can catch Suchi out, then they could do something. If they can apply pressure across the map with their split pushing potential from their double teleport, maybe that would save them. But the problem with that is that now there's an open inhib, now there's an open nexus. It's obviously not going to be easy to quite instantly take down that nexus turret, but there's also that baron, and it actually looks like they might just straight up go for it. Gornagle has popped ultimate here. They have got wards, but they do not know what's going on. Glucose has now seen it. They are going to be able to go for this fight very, very soon. Tsuchi is hanging around the edge. This could be very bad for Bench if they can't get this down very, very soon. Glucose is hanging around the edge. They have got the potential. The tidal wave comes in. The smite goes down. We've got Gornagle picking it up. We've got the shockwave on Suchi. Suchi has been insta-gibbed. Guardian Angel has been popped. Gornagle is now in trouble. He's in the middle of the team. Yolazilla having to back out. We've got the damage from Jace onto him, but now Nadius is running. Baron buff is on him, but I can't think he can't fight Lego My Ego. So much damage, but he actually gets knocked back over the wall. He's going to be running triple kill again for Lego My Ego, doing so much work here. Bimbo 8 is going to have to run. The shock blast hits him, but he actually manages to pick up the kill on Lego My Ego, but I don't think it matters. We've got the GG well played coming out of Nadius. We've got Bimbo 8 in trouble now, unable to pick up anyone, and that is going to be a 5-man for what a 4-man kill for 1-man no man, whatever, they won.
Yep, that is the ace overall there, and Bench now find themselves headed towards a game 3. Dongsquad can breathe a sigh of relief off the back of that one, because they've managed to tie this series up. They finished that game 10,000 gold in the lead, and that was a very close game between these two teams, and it just went to a point where Bench's pretty much all-in team fight just started to get not as effective as it was. The Runic Bulwark, of course, built on the side of Dongsquad, just mitigated a lot of that damage. So in the end of all things, Dongsquad managed to tie this one up. They're still in the tournament. We're headed to the final game of this evening in just a couple of minutes, guys. We'll be back with game number 3 between Dongsquad and Benched Gaming here on Kaostv.